The galaxy of Warhammer 40k is a realm perpetually shrouded in darkness, despair, and conflict. It is a time of endless war where loyalty and betrayal walk hand in hand. Within this turbulent void, one of the most haunting and enigmatic forces emerges: the Death Guard. These plague-ridden warriors are infamous for their unyielding endurance, grotesque mutations, and chilling allegiance to Nurgle, the chaos god of decay. But behind the rotting armor and disease-laden forms lies a story of command and purpose, one that binds these corrupted Astartes to champions of chaos who lead them into battle. To understand why chaos champions guide the Death Guard, we must first peer into the swirling madness of the warp itself. It is a domain that defies natural law, an alternate dimension where gods of chaos reign supreme. Each of these deities manifests as a primal force, embodying ambition, decay, change, or excess. Among these powers, Nurgle holds a unique and insidious sway over the Death Guard, granting them his gifts of disease and resilience in exchange for unwavering servitude. Yet, the Death Guard is not an unthinking horde. They are guided by figures whose authority stems not merely from strength, but from a sinister confluence of ambition, divine favor, and dark destiny. These are the Chaos Champions, mortals chosen by the ruinous powers to enact their will. But what makes a warrior worthy of such elevation? And why do these champions rise to leadership among the ranks of the Death Guard, whose bond with Nurgle runs so deep? To unravel this mystery, one must consider the nature of the Death Guard itself. Originally forged in the fires of the Great Crusade as a loyalist legion of the Emperor's Space Marines, their story took a grim turn during the Horus Heresy. What began as a proud fraternity of warriors became a cursed brotherhood, irrevocably altered by betrayal and the taint of chaos. But even as they transformed into instruments of decay, the Death Guard retained a certain structure, a chain of command that has persisted into their damned existence. This leadership is neither simple nor easily understood. The champions of the Death Guard do not merely command through martial prowess or battlefield experience. They embody the ideals of their twisted god, becoming living symbols of Nurgle's power. These figures are both feared and revered, straddling the line between mortal and demigod. Their rise is not without peril. For the path to chaos, leadership is as fraught with danger as it is with opportunity. As we delve into the heart of this chilling topic, we will explore the actors, events, and mysteries that define why the Death Guard follows Chaos Champions into the abyss. Who are the key players in this grim drama? What circumstances led to the rise of these leaders? And what shadowy truths lie hidden within the festering ranks of the Death Guard? The story of the Chaos Champions is one of transformation and purpose. It is a tale that transcends the boundaries of mortality and strikes at the core of the chaos-infested galaxy. Through their leadership, the Death Guard becomes not only a force of ruin, but a testament to the boundless ambitions and horrors that chaos brings. And yet, even in their corruption, they remain a paradox. Both disciplined and chaotic, loyal and treacherous, dead yet alive. This is a story of power and decay, of order within entropy, and of the unbreakable grip of Nurgle upon his chosen. The answers lie within the ranks of the Death Guard, amidst the mists of the warp and the whispers of decay. Now let us turn to the players who bring this grim saga to life. Who are the figures that have shaped the Death Guard's destiny and led them through the dark embrace of chaos? To understand the champions, we must first meet those who stand at the center of this rotting stage. The tale of the Chaos Champions and their command over the Death Guard revolves around several distinct groups and individuals, each playing a vital role in this dark hierarchy. At the forefront are the champions themselves, figures whose authority stems from their connection to the Chaos Gods, particularly Nurgle. These champions are the chosen instruments of their patron's will, elevated to positions of power through a combination of martial prowess, unwavering dedication, and the blessings of the warp. They are not mere commanders but avatars of decay, embodying the ideals and gifts of their dark patron. These champions wield influence both on and off the battlefield. They lead through fear and inspiration, driving the Death Guard into battle with unrelenting determination. Often marked by grotesque mutations and supernatural resilience, they are manifestations of Nurgle's blessings, walking symbols of his twisted favor. While their roles vary, from strategic masterminds to relentless warriors, they share a common purpose: to serve the will of Nurgle and spread his gifts of corruption across the galaxy. Supporting these champions are the lieutenants and warlords who operate within the Death Guard's ranks. These individuals command smaller units, ensuring that Nurgle's will is carried out across the Legion's operations. Though not as highly exalted as the champions, they are nonetheless essential figures, bridging the gap between the highest echelons of leadership and the rank-and-file warriors. These warlords often possess unique talents or insights into the nature of decay, making them indispensable to the Death Guard's ongoing campaigns. Among the lower ranks are the plague-ridden warriors themselves. These are the mainstay of the Death Guard, twisted remnants of the original Legion who now serve as foot soldiers in Nurgle's army. They are defined by their unyielding resilience, marching into battle undeterred by pain or fear. Though lacking the leadership status of the champions, their role is equally crucial. They embody the strength of Nurgle's teachings, spreading disease and despair wherever they tread. Another key participant in this hierarchy is the sorcerer class within the Death Guard. These individuals, often referred to as plague sorcerers, are responsible for channeling the raw power of the warp to further Nurgle's goals. Through their incantations and rituals, they summon devastating plagues, bolster the endurance of their allies, and rain destruction upon their enemies. The sorcerers operate as both advisors to the champions and powerful agents in their own right, ensuring that Nurgle's gifts are used to maximum effect. Outside the ranks of the Death Guard themselves are the demonic entities that serve Nurgle. These beings, drawn directly from the warp, often work alongside the champions to spread their master's influence. From bloated greater demons to swarms of lesser creatures, these entities play an active role in reinforcing the Death Guard's campaigns. Their presence not only strengthens the army's physical might, but also serves as a constant reminder of Nurgle's favor and the power of chaos. The Death Guard structure also includes a network of cultists and mortal followers. These individuals, often recruited from conquered worlds, serve as auxiliaries and laborers. Though far removed from the exalted champions, they play a critical support role, providing manpower for logistical operations and acting as disposable troops in battle. Their devotion to Nurgle's teachings drives them to embrace their roles, no matter how menial or gruesome. Lastly, the Chaos Gods themselves must be considered as central figures in this narrative, with Nurgle at the helm. While the gods do not directly intervene, their influence is felt through the champions, sorcerers, and demonic entities that act on their behalf. Nurgle's blessings, in particular, are the lifeblood of the Death Guard's operations, granting them the supernatural strength and resilience needed to carry out their campaigns. Together, these groups and individuals form the complex and interconnected hierarchy that defines the Death Guard. Each plays a distinct role, contributing to the Legion's success in spreading Nurgle's influence. The champions stand at the apex of this structure, directing the forces below them and ensuring that the Death Guard's legacy of decay continues unabated. Through their leadership, the Death Guard has become one of the most enduring and feared forces in the galaxy, a testament to the power of chaos and the dark purpose that drives them forward. The origins of the Death Guard's current state can be traced back to a confluence of historical events, ideological shifts, and dark cosmic forces that forever altered their path. At its core, the rise of Chaos champions within the Death Guard was not a sudden development, but the result of a series of transformations and betrayals that spanned millennia. These events set the stage for their descent into corruption and their eventual role as the harbingers of decay. The foundation of the Death Guard's tragedy lies in their initial purpose during the earliest days of the Imperium of Man. Created to serve as a bastion of resilience and unwavering strength, the Legion was designed to endure the harshest conditions and overcome the most insurmountable odds. Their philosophy emphasized endurance, self-reliance, and an almost fanatical resistance to external threats. These qualities made them formidable warriors, but they also laid the groundwork for their vulnerability to darker influences. The very traits that made them strong would later be exploited to lead them down a path of ruin. The cataclysmic event that precipitated their fall was their exposure to the influence of the Chaos Gods. The allure of chaos, with its promises of power and freedom from mortal constraints, has always been a danger to even the most loyal servants of the Imperium. In the case of the Death Guard, their exposure to the insidious whispers of the warp was particularly devastating. The teachings of chaos resonated with their core belief in survival at all costs, corrupting their ideals and transforming their resilience into a perverse form of submission to entropy and decay. This transformation was not an overnight occurrence. It was a gradual erosion of their values, a series of small compromises and rationalizations that led to their ultimate downfall. The onset of the Horus Heresy, a galaxy-spanning civil war that shattered the Imperium, served as the crucible for this corruption. The Death Guard, like many other legions, found themselves at a crossroads, torn between loyalty to the Emperor and the temptations of chaos. The choices made during this turbulent period would seal their fate. A key factor in their descent was the pervasive influence of the warp. This alternate dimension, teeming with malevolent energy, exerted a constant pressure on those who ventured too close. The Death Guard's exposure to the warp during their campaigns made them particularly susceptible to its corrupting effects. The longer they remained in its presence, the more their bodies and minds were twisted by its influence. This culminated in their eventual embrace of Nurgle, the Chaos God of Decay, whose teachings aligned with their growing obsession with endurance and survival. The philosophical alignment between the Death Guard and Nurgle played a significant role in their transformation. Nurgle's ideology, which exalts decay as a natural and inevitable force, appealed to the Legion's belief in the inevitability of hardship and suffering. Over time, what began as a tactical alliance with Nurgle evolved into outright worship. The blessings of decay granted by the Chaos God not only enhanced their resilience, but also solidified their allegiance to his cause. The presence of Chaos champions within the Death Guard is a direct result of this ideological shift. These individuals rose to prominence as embodiments of Nurgle's teachings, their authority stemming from their perceived favor with the God of Decay. The champions were not chosen randomly. Their rise was a calculated process, shaped by the circumstances of the Death Guard's fall and the needs of their new patron. Their leadership represents a fusion of martial tradition and divine influence, a hybrid of mortal strategy and the supernatural power of chaos. The introduction of the champions also reflects a broader shift in the Death Guard's structure. Once a disciplined and hierarchical force, the Legion evolved into a more fluid and chaotic organization under the influence of Nurgle. While remnants of their former structure remain, the emphasis has shifted towards a system where power and influence are determined by the favor of chaos. This change is not unique to the Death Guard, but is emblematic of the transformation that occurs when a force succumbs to the influence of the warp. The roots of the current situation extend further still, into the very nature of the galaxy and the inherent instability of its power structures. The collapse of ancient civilizations, the unending wars of the Imperium, and the insidious spread of chaos have all contributed to the environment in which the Death Guard's transformation was not only possible, but inevitable. In this sense, the rise of the Chaos Champions is both a symptom and a cause of the broader decay that permeates the galaxy. What remains clear is that the Death Guard's fall was not the result of a single event, but a complex web of circumstances and choices. Each decision, each moment of weakness or defiance, contributed to the creation of the Legion as it exists today. Their embrace of decay, their worship of Nurgle, and their reliance on champions to lead them are all manifestations of a deeper, more profound truth. That in the grim darkness of the far future, even the strongest are not immune to corruption. The rise of Chaos Champions to leadership roles within the Death Guard was shaped by a series of key military and ideological developments that unfolded across centuries of war. These events reveal the pathway through which individual warriors, shaped by both the unforgiving crucible of battle and the favor of Nurgle, ascended to positions of command. The process was not linear but marked by pivotal moments, each reinforcing the transformation of the Death Guard into an instrument of decay under the guidance of its chosen leaders. Initially, the Death Guard operated with a rigid command structure, emphasizing collective resilience over individual glory. This ethos was maintained even as the Legion began its descent into corruption. However, the chaotic nature of their alignment with Nurgle gradually eroded the traditional chain of command. As their philosophy shifted towards embracing entropy and decay, so too did their approach to leadership. This allowed individuals with exceptional prowess or the evident favor of Nurgle to rise above their peers, marking the beginning of the era of Chaos Champions. The military campaigns of the Death Guard, particularly during and after the Horus Heresy, served as the proving grounds for these champions. The protracted battles against both loyalist forces and other chaos-aligned factions forged leaders whose authority stemmed as much from their survival and cunning as from their martial abilities. In the grueling engagements that defined these wars, the Chaos Champions emerged as figures capable of withstanding the harshest conditions and rallying their plague-ridden brethren to victory. One of the earliest and most significant demonstrations of the Chaos Champions' military leadership was during the battles of the Scouring. These conflicts, fought in the aftermath of the heresy, saw the Death Guard waging a bitter retreat into the Eye of Terror. The champions played a critical role in these engagements, acting as both tacticians and enforcers of Nurgle's will. Their ability to endure catastrophic losses while maintaining cohesion among their forces solidified their status as indispensable leaders. The centuries that followed the retreat into the Eye of Terror marked a period of consolidation and adaptation. Within the roiling madness of the Warp, the Death Guard honed their tactics, developing a style of warfare that leveraged their unique strengths. The Chaos Champions became instrumental in refining these strategies, incorporating Nurgle's blessings into every aspect of their campaigns. Their leadership ensured that the Death Guard's forces were not only resilient, but also capable of spreading disease and despair as a weapon of war. Throughout this time, the champions also engaged in numerous internecine conflicts, both within the Death Guard and against other chaos-aligned factions. These skirmishes, often fought over resources, territory, or the favor of Nurgle, acted as a brutal form of natural selection. Only the most cunning and resourceful leaders could survive the constant jockeying for power, and those who emerged victorious were further exalted as paragons of Nurgle's teachings. The champion's role expanded further during the Black Crusades, galaxy-spanning offensives launched by Chaos forces against the Imperium. In these campaigns, the Death Guard played a central role as the bringers of plague and destruction. The Chaos Champions led their forces in these apocalyptic wars, directing the spread of Nurgle's gifts to undermine enemy morale and infrastructure. Their ability to command vast armies of plague marines, cultists, and demonic entities highlighted their strategic importance, elevating their status within the hierarchy of chaos. Over time, the process of becoming a Chaos Champion became a form of ritualized progression, deeply intertwined with the will of Nurgle. Aspiring leaders had to prove their worth not only on the battlefield, but also through acts of devotion and sacrifice. These rites often involved the deliberate spreading of plagues or the creation of blighted strongholds in Nurgle's name. Success in these endeavors reinforced their claim to leadership, while failure ensured their swift demise. The culmination of this evolution in leadership came with the modern era of the Death Guard, where Chaos Champions now serve as the de facto commanders of their forces. These individuals are not merely warriors. They are embodiments of Nurgle's power, combining martial skill with the ability to inspire fear and loyalty in their subordinates. Their battlefield roles range from leading direct assaults to coordinating the complex operations required to unleash galaxy-spanning plagues. Each military campaign led by the Chaos Champions serves as a testament to their unique approach to warfare. Their strategies revolve around attrition and psychological warfare, exploiting their enemies' weaknesses while leveraging their own unparalleled resilience. Whether spreading diseases that cripple entire worlds or enduring sieges that would break lesser forces, the champions exemplify the Death Guard's philosophy of unrelenting decay. These military achievements underscore the Chaos Champion's significance within the Death Guard. Their leadership has transformed the Legion from a disciplined force into a nightmarish manifestation of Nurgle's will. Through centuries of war and adaptation, they have cemented their authority, ensuring that the Death Guard remains one of the most feared forces in the galaxy. Their rise is not merely a tale of individual ambition, but a reflection of the inexorable spread of chaos, an unstoppable tide that reshapes everything it touches. The key event that solidified the leadership of Chaos Champions within the Death Guard was the moment the Legion fully embraced the will of Nurgle during their transformation into agents of decay. This pivotal change was not just a shift in allegiance, but a redefinition of their identity, purpose, and structure. The decision to submit to Nurgle's power reshaped their chain of command, establishing the Chaos Champions as the central figures of authority. The catalyst for this transformation came during the Death Guard's fateful journey through the Warp, a period marked by desperation and betrayal. Trapped in the Immaterium without hope of escape, the Legion faced annihilation as they succumbed to the plagues that ravaged their fleet. In this moment of despair, Nurgle extended his hand, offering salvation through surrender. The decision to accept this dark bargain forever bound the Legion to the Chaos God of Decay. This act of submission was more than a mere survival mechanism. It was a moment of profound ideological realignment. The Death Guard did not simply become servants of Nurgle. They were remade in his image, their bodies and souls irrevocably altered. The acceptance of his blessings cemented their place as instruments of his will, and with this change came a new understanding of leadership. The traditional hierarchy, rooted in discipline and martial order, gave way to a system where favor with Nurgle determined status and authority. The rise of Chaos Champions was a direct consequence of this transformation. Nurgle's blessings were not distributed equally. They were granted to those who demonstrated exceptional resilience, devotion, and ability to spread his influence. These individuals became living symbols of Nurgle's power, marked by grotesque mutations and supernatural endurance. Their elevation was not merely a reward, but a necessity, as the Legion required leaders who could inspire loyalty and embody the ideals of their new master. This key decision to prioritize favor with Nurgle over traditional qualifications redefined what it meant to lead within the Death Guard. Martial prowess and battlefield strategy remained important, but they were now secondary to the ability to channel and spread the gifts of decay. Leadership became a matter of spiritual significance, with the Chaos Champions serving as intermediaries between the Legion and their divine patron. The implications of this shift were profound. It created a culture where ambition and devotion to Nurgle became the driving forces behind the rise to power. Those who sought leadership had to prove themselves not only through acts of war, but also through their ability to embody Nurgle's teachings. This often involved acts of sacrifice, the spreading of plagues, or the successful corruption of entire worlds. The Chaos Champions, as the most devoted and effective agents of Nurgle's will, naturally emerged as the leaders of the Death Guard. The decision to embrace Nurgle and elevate his chosen champions also addressed a critical need within the Legion. The Death Guard's philosophy of endurance and attrition required leaders who could inspire their forces to persist in the face of overwhelming odds. The Chaos Champions, as embodiments of resilience and decay, provided this inspiration. Their very presence on the battlefield served as a reminder of Nurgle's favor, bolstering the morale of their plague-ridden brethren and striking fear into their enemies. This change also aligned the Death Guard's leadership with their new strategic focus. As agents of Nurgle, their primary objective became the spread of disease and corruption. The Chaos Champions, with their unique connection to Nurgle, were best suited to lead these efforts. Their ability to channel his power allowed them to unleash devastating plagues, ensuring that every campaign furthered Nurgle's influence. The elevation of Chaos Champions to leadership roles was thus both a practical and symbolic decision. It ensured that the Death Guard remained cohesive and effective despite their transformation, while also reinforcing their identity as servants of decay. The Champions became the focal point of the Legion's operations. Their authority derived not only from their martial abilities, but from their status as Nurgle's chosen. This pivotal moment marked the Death Guard's final separation from their past and solidified their role as instruments of chaos. By embracing Nurgle and allowing his champions to lead, they became a force uniquely suited to their dark purpose. The decision was both a surrender and a rebirth, a choice that ensured the Death Guard would endure as one of the most feared and unrelenting forces in the galaxy. Through their champions, they found new strength, purpose, and a twisted form of unity that continues to define them to this day. The emergence of Chaos Champions as leaders within the Death Guard has had a profound and far-reaching impact on the galaxy of Warhammer 40,000. Their leadership has shaped not only the tactics and strategies of the Death Guard, but also the broader dynamics of galactic warfare and the influence of chaos itself. The Champions, as vessels of Nurgle's will, act as catalysts for widespread decay, altering the fate of countless worlds and challenging the Imperium's ability to maintain control over its territories. One of the most immediate and devastating consequences is the relentless spread of plague and corruption. Under the guidance of the Chaos Champions, the Death Guard has perfected the art of biological and psychological warfare, unleashing diseases that target both the body and spirit. Entire planets have been consumed by pandemics engineered or amplified by the Champions, transforming thriving worlds into barren, rotting husks. This widespread devastation weakens the Imperium's infrastructure, leaving it vulnerable to further chaos incursions or other external threats. The Champions' leadership has also reinforced the Death Guard's reputation as a force of unparalleled endurance. Their strategies emphasize attritional warfare, exploiting the resilience of their plague-ridden forces to outlast enemies in prolonged engagements. This approach has caused significant disruptions to Imperial logistics, as the resources required to counter the Death Guard far exceed those needed to confront conventional threats. The Champions' ability to orchestrate such campaigns has made them a persistent and corrosive threat to Imperial stability. Beyond the immediate physical destruction, the Champions wield immense psychological influence, spreading despair and fear across the galaxy. Their presence on the battlefield often demoralizes Imperial forces, as stories of their grotesque appearances and unnatural resilience circulate among defenders. The fear of contagion further undermines morale, with even the most disciplined troops succumbing to panic when faced with the prospect of fighting an enemy immune to conventional weapons and resistant to pain. This erosion of morale often leads to the collapse of defensive lines long before the Death Guard's forces can overwhelm them. The Champions' influence extends beyond the battlefield to the political and cultural spheres of the galaxy. By corrupting worlds, they create footholds for chaos, enabling Nurgle's influence to seep into regions previously untouched by the warp's taint. These corrupted worlds often become staging grounds for further incursions, as their populations are either converted into cultists or transformed into shambling plague hosts. The loss of these worlds has a ripple effect, destabilizing neighboring systems and forcing the Imperium to divert resources from other critical fronts. In addition to their direct impact on the Imperium, the Chaos Champions have altered the dynamics within the broader Chaos factions. Their leadership within the Death Guard serves as a model for other Chaos-aligned forces, demonstrating the effectiveness of combining divine favor with martial strategy. This has encouraged other factions to elevate their own champions, further entrenching the influence of the Chaos Gods in the galaxy's conflicts. The champions' successes inspire both reverence and rivalry, fueling internal competition among Chaos warbands and occasionally leading to alliances or power struggles. The champion's role in perpetuating Nurgle's ideology also contributes to the overarching goals of chaos. By spreading decay and entropy, they undermine the Imperium's vision of order and stability. Each victory secured by the Death Guard reinforces the inevitability of decay, a message that resonates far beyond the immediate scope of their campaigns. This ideological impact is particularly significant in regions where the Imperium's grip is already tenuous, as it sows doubt and despair among human populations and erodes their faith in the Emperor. On a cosmic scale, the Chaos Champions and their leadership of the Death Guard serve as a constant reminder of the power and persistence of chaos. Their campaigns force the Imperium and other factions to confront the harsh reality that even the most disciplined and resilient forces can be corrupted. This existential threat challenges the galaxy's defenders to adapt their strategies and allocate resources to counter the Death Guard's unique style of warfare. The champion's ability to command loyalty and spread Nurgle's influence ensures that the Death Guard remains a potent force, capable of reshaping the galaxy's future. The legacy of the Chaos Champions extends beyond the battlefield and the systems they corrupt. Their rise to power symbolizes the unrelenting nature of chaos and its ability to infiltrate and dominate even the most structured and disciplined forces. The champions are not just leaders. They are agents of transformation, spreading Nurgle's gifts and reshaping the galaxy in his image. Through their leadership, the Death Guard has become a force of destruction that transcends traditional notions of warfare, embodying the inevitability of decay and the futility of resisting the will of chaos. In the larger context of the galaxy's struggles, the Chaos Champion's influence serves as a grim testament to the interconnectedness of power, corruption, and decay. Their actions ripple across time and space, leaving scars on the galaxy that may never fully heal. Each victory they achieve is not just a blow to their enemies, but a step closer to a galaxy irrevocably consumed by the forces of chaos. Their leadership ensures that the Death Guard remains a relentless and implacable force, unyielding in its mission to spread the gifts of Nurgle and the truth of entropy to every corner of existence. One of the most intriguing aspects of why Chaos Champions lead the Death Guard lies in the intricate interplay of faith, biology, and strategy that defines their command. Unlike other factions within Chaos, the leadership of the Death Guard is deeply rooted in their connection to the Chaos God Nurgle, whose influence extends far beyond simple allegiance. This creates a unique dynamic where leadership is not merely a matter of skill or experience, but also a reflection of the metaphysical relationship between the champions, their followers, and their divine patron. Central to this dynamic is the role of Nurgle's blessings, often referred to as gifts, which are both a mark of favor and a tool of control. These blessings manifest as physical mutations and supernatural resilience, turning champions into walking embodiments of decay. Their grotesque forms, while horrifying to outsiders, inspire awe and reverence within the ranks of the Death Guard. The more grotesque and diseased a champion becomes, the more they are perceived as being closer to Nurgle, solidifying their authority. This transformation into living symbols of their god creates a leadership style that is as much about spiritual representation as it is about martial command. The biology of the Death Guard also plays a unique role in this hierarchy. Their exposure to the warp and Nurgle's influence has fundamentally altered their physiology, granting them immunity to pain, disease, and most forms of physical harm. This makes them ideal followers for champions who embody Nurgle's ideals, as their near invulnerability aligns perfectly with the doctrine of endurance and decay. The champions themselves are often at the forefront of this biological evolution, showcasing the extremes of Nurgle's power and inspiring their followers to greater acts of devotion. A particularly fascinating aspect of their leadership is the psychological bond between the champions and their forces. Unlike many other Chaos factions, where leadership often relies on fear or brute strength, the Death Guard's champions maintain a form of paternalistic authority. They are seen not only as leaders but as caretakers of Nurgle's flock, guiding their plague-ridden warriors through the trials of their existence. This bond is reinforced by Nurgle's own ideology, which frames decay and suffering as gifts to be embraced rather than curses to be feared. The champions, as the most favored of Nurgle's children, act as shepherds for their fellow warriors, providing purpose and direction in their corrupted lives. In the broader fan community, one of the most debated topics is the extent to which the champions retain their individuality and agency under Nurgle's influence. Some argue that their leadership is entirely a reflection of Nurgle's will, with the champions serving as mere vessels for his power. Others contend that the champions retain a degree of autonomy, using their own cunning and ambition to interpret and execute Nurgle's desires. This duality adds a layer of complexity to their leadership as it raises questions about the balance between divine control and personal initiative. Another topic of fascination is the role of Chaos champions in spreading Nurgle's plagues. Their ability to wield these diseases as weapons of war is unparalleled, turning them into both strategists and executioners. Each plague they unleash is tailored to a specific purpose, whether it is breaking the morale of an enemy force, corrupting a planet's ecosystem, or creating new hosts for Nurgle's demonic minions. The champions' intimate understanding of these plagues and their application in warfare sets them apart from other leaders in the galaxy, making them uniquely suited to command the Death Guard. The champions' connection to the warp also introduces a layer of unpredictability to their leadership. Their reliance on Nurgle's favor means that their power is inherently unstable, subject to the whims of their patron. This has led to instances where champions have fallen from grace or been consumed by their own mutations, creating a constant tension within the hierarchy of the Death Guard. This instability is a source of both strength and vulnerability, as it ensures that only the most resilient and adaptable individuals can rise to the top. Fans often discuss the symbolic significance of the champion's rise to power, particularly in the context of Nurgle's philosophy. Their leadership is seen as a testament to the inevitability of decay and the futility of resisting the passage of time. By elevating individuals who embody these principles, Nurgle reinforces his ideology on a cosmic scale, using the Death Guard as both a weapon and a form of propaganda. This dual role of the champions as warriors and symbols of decay adds a layer of thematic depth to their leadership, making them one of the most compelling aspects of the Death Guard's lore. The unique combination of faith, biology, and strategy that defines the Chaos Champions' leadership ensures that their role within the Death Guard is unlike anything found in other factions. Their ability to command is not merely a matter of strength or skill, but a reflection of their place within Nurgle's grand design. This complexity, combined with their grotesque charisma and the horrific power they wield, makes them some of the most iconic and feared figures in the galaxy. Their presence not only shapes the Death Guard, but leaves a lasting mark on the worlds they touch, spreading decay and despair in their wake. Among the many figures that have risen to prominence as Chaos champions within the Death Guard, certain individuals stand out for their exceptional qualities, their influence, and the unique roles they play in shaping the Legion's destiny. These figures embody the grim ethos of Nurgle, serving as both commanders and symbols of the Death Guard's unyielding philosophy of decay. Each champion brings distinct strengths and weaknesses to their position, making them essential yet complex elements within the broader narrative of the Death Guard. One of the most notable traits of these champions is their ability to command loyalty through sheer resilience and their grotesque charisma. They are not leaders who inspire through speeches or grand gestures, but through their undeniable presence on the battlefield. Their bodies, often bloated with Nurgle's gifts, exude an aura of unshakable endurance, which serves as a grim reminder of the power of decay. Their followers view them as paragons of survival, figures who have endured the worst the galaxy can offer and emerged stronger for it. Their strengths lie in their adaptability and their ability to wield Nurgle's plagues as tools of both destruction and creation. Unlike the leaders of many other Chaos factions who might rely on raw power or cunning alone, these champions demonstrate a profound understanding of the strategic application of disease. They craft plagues tailored to specific purposes, whether to cripple an enemy's supply chain, devastate a population, or prepare a world for corruption. This mastery of biological warfare makes them uniquely suited to lead the Death Guard, as their strategies align perfectly with the Legion's capabilities. At the same time, their roles are not without challenges. The constant presence of Nurgle's influence ensures that these champions are always balancing their autonomy against the will of their patron. While they are granted immense power, this power often comes at the cost of their own identity. Many champions find themselves increasingly consumed by the very forces they wield, their minds and bodies slowly dissolving into the rotting essence of Nurgle's domain. This creates a paradox where their strength as leaders is directly tied to their willingness to surrender their individuality to the greater cause. Another defining feature of these champions is their focus on spreading Nurgle's ideology alongside his physical corruption. Their campaigns are not simply military operations, but acts of devotion aimed at demonstrating the inevitability of decay and entropy. This dual purpose requires a level of cunning and foresight that goes beyond mere battlefield strategy. They must not only defeat their enemies, but also ensure that their victories serve to further Nurgle's influence across the galaxy. This philosophical aspect of their leadership adds depth to their role, as they are tasked with both conquering and converting. Despite their formidable abilities, these champions are not invincible. Their reliance on Nurgle's blessings means they are deeply connected to the warp, making them vulnerable to fluctuations in its power. Moreover, their grotesque forms, while inspiring to their followers, can also become liabilities in certain situations. Their physical corruption often limits their mobility and makes them targets for more agile enemies. This vulnerability forces them to rely heavily on their followers, creating a symbiotic relationship where their authority must be maintained through both fear and reverence. Among the champions, there are those who specialize in specific aspects of Nurgle's teachings, further highlighting the diversity within their ranks. Some are masterful tacticians, known for orchestrating campaigns that grind their enemies into submission through attrition. Others are more focused on the spiritual aspects of their role, acting as high priests who spread Nurgle's blessings and convert new followers to the cause. This specialization allows the Death Guard to maintain a flexible and adaptive command structure, capable of addressing a wide range of challenges. One of the most debated qualities of these champions within the fan community is their ability to inspire fear not only among their enemies, but also within their own ranks. Their grotesque appearances and the supernatural power they wield create an atmosphere of both awe and terror. This dynamic ensures that their followers remain obedient, but it also creates a constant undercurrent of tension within the Legion. The champions must navigate this delicate balance to maintain their authority, a task made all the more difficult by the chaotic nature of their environment. These champions are also defined by their unwavering commitment to Nurgle's cause, a trait that sets them apart from many other Chaos leaders. While others might be driven by personal ambition or the desire for power, the champions of the Death Guard are often motivated by a genuine belief in Nurgle's teachings. This ideological purity makes them uniquely suited to lead the Death Guard, as their goals are perfectly aligned with those of their patron. However, it also makes them inflexible in certain situations, as their devotion to Nurgle leaves little room for compromise or alternative strategies. In examining the qualities, goals, and challenges faced by these champions, it becomes clear that their leadership is both a product of their unique circumstances and a reflection of Nurgle's influence. They are not merely commanders, but embodiments of the Death Guard's philosophy, serving as the bridge between their mortal followers and the divine will of their patron. Through their actions, they ensure that the Death Guard remains a relentless and unyielding force, spreading decay and despair across the galaxy. The leadership of Chaos champions within the Death Guard has long been a topic of speculation and debate among fans and scholars of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. While many aspects of their rise and role are well documented, there remain numerous unresolved questions and intriguing theories that continue to fuel discussions. These mysteries delve into the deeper implications of their leadership, their connection to Nurgle, and the true nature of their influence within the Legion. One of the most contentious questions revolves around the process by which Nurgle selects and elevates his champions. While it is understood that resilience, devotion, and the ability to spread decay are key factors, the exact criteria remain ambiguous. Some theories suggest that the selection is entirely dictated by Nurgle's whims, with no regard for the champion's own desires or intentions. Others argue that the process involves a complex interplay of divine will, personal ambition, and battlefield performance, creating a balance between mortal agency and the influence of the warp. This uncertainty leaves room for speculation about whether champions are truly chosen for their qualities or if their rise is merely the result of being in the right place at the right time. Another unresolved issue is the extent of Nurgle's direct involvement in the champion's actions. Do these leaders operate as autonomous agents interpreting the will of their god, or are they puppets completely controlled by Nurgle? The evidence suggests a mixture of both, with champions appearing to have free will in their decisions while still being subject to Nurgle's overarching plans. This ambiguity raises questions about how much of their leadership stems from their own skill and how much is dictated by their patron. The lack of clarity fuels ongoing debates about whether these champions are merely tools or active participants in Nurgle's cosmic design. The durability of the champion's authority is another point of speculation. While their grotesque forms and divine blessings grant them unparalleled strength and influence, these same gifts often come with a heavy cost. Over time, many champions are consumed by the very powers that elevate them, their bodies and minds succumbing to the unrelenting decay that defines their existence. This has led to discussions about whether their leadership is inherently temporary, with champions destined to burn brightly before inevitably collapsing under the weight of their own corruption. The cycle of rise and fall raises questions about how the Death Guard sustains its leadership structure over millennia. The champions' relationships with their subordinates are also shrouded in mystery. While it is clear that they command through a combination of fear, reverence, and Nurgle's blessings, the exact dynamics of these relationships are less well defined. Do the rank-and-file members of the Death Guard follow their champions out of genuine loyalty, or is their obedience purely a result of their corrupted nature? Furthermore, how do the champions maintain discipline within the inherently chaotic framework of a legion devoted to decay? These questions highlight the complexities of leadership within the Death Guard and suggest that their internal cohesion may be more fragile than it appears. One of the most fascinating theories concerns the champion's ultimate purpose within Nurgle's grand scheme. While they are undoubtedly instrumental in spreading his influence, some speculate that their role goes beyond mere conquest. Could the champions serve as conduits for Nurgle's power, linking the warp and the material galaxy in ways that are not yet fully understood? This idea introduces the possibility that their leadership is not an end in itself, but part of a larger, more intricate plan that extends beyond the Death Guard and their immediate goals. The implications of this theory could reshape how the champion's role is perceived, casting them as pivotal figures in a far greater cosmic struggle. The role of fate and prophecy in the rise of Chaos champions is another area of debate. Some believe that their elevation is predestined, woven into the fabric of the galaxy by the chaotic energies of the warp. Others argue that their rise is entirely circumstantial, driven by the unpredictable nature of war and the whims of Nurgle. This tension between fate and chance raises deeper philosophical questions about the nature of chaos itself and the extent to which it can be understood or predicted. There is also speculation about the champion's potential to transcend their current roles. While most are content to serve as leaders within the Death Guard, some may harbor ambitions that extend beyond the Legion. Could a Chaos Champion rise to a position of even greater power, perhaps rivaling the most feared figures in the galaxy? This possibility, while rare, has precedent within the broader lore of Chaos, where individuals have risen to godlike status through their deeds and devotion. The prospect of a Death Guard champion achieving such a transformation adds an additional layer of intrigue to their story. Finally, the champion's ultimate loyalty is a topic of considerable debate. While they are ostensibly devoted to Nurgle, some theorists suggest that their allegiance may not be as absolute as it seems. Could a champion, driven by ambition or disillusionment, turn against their patron or seek to align with another Chaos power? While such betrayals are rare, they are not unheard of within the chaotic and ever-shifting dynamics of the Warp. The potential for treachery introduces an element of unpredictability to the champion's role, making their actions and motivations even more enigmatic. These unresolved questions and theories ensure that the topic of Chaos Champions and their leadership of the Death Guard remains a rich and fascinating area of discussion. The ambiguity surrounding their rise, their relationship with Nurgle, and their ultimate purpose invites endless speculation, making them some of the most compelling figures within the Warhammer 40,000 universe. This complexity not only enhances their narrative, but also reinforces the overarching themes of chaos, decay, and transformation that define their existence. The long-term consequences of Chaos Champions leading the Death Guard stretch far beyond immediate military victories or the spread of Nurgle's plagues. Their leadership has implications that could shape the future of the galaxy in profound and unpredictable ways, impacting not only the Imperium, but also the balance of power among Chaos factions and the broader dynamics of the universe. One of the most significant long-term effects is the perpetuation of Nurgle's ideology across the galaxy. The Chaos Champions are not merely commanders, but also agents of Nurgle's doctrine, spreading the belief in the inevitability of decay and entropy. As they conquer worlds and leave them festering with plagues, they erode the resolve of humanity and weaken the grip of the Imperium. Over time, this ideological corrosion could lead to more widespread despair, making it easier for Chaos to infiltrate and dominate vulnerable systems. The psychological impact of the Death Guard's campaigns, combined with the champion's symbolic role, ensures that the scars they leave behind extend far beyond physical destruction. The champion's rise and continued influence also create a template for leadership within other Chaos-aligned factions. Their ability to combine divine favor with strategic acumen sets a standard that could inspire rival warbands to emulate their approach. This could lead to a broader shift in how Chaos forces operate, moving towards a model where leaders are both spiritual icons and tactical masterminds. While this would strengthen the cohesion and effectiveness of Chaos forces, it could also intensify rivalries as warlords compete for favor and dominance, potentially destabilizing the already fractured landscape of Chaos. The enduring presence of Chaos Champions within the Death Guard also poses a unique threat to the Imperium's long-term stability. Unlike many other foes, the Death Guard operates on a timeline that transcends human lifespans. Their slow, methodical campaigns are designed to wear down their enemies over centuries, making them a persistent thorn in the Imperium's side. As champions continue to lead these efforts, the cumulative impact of their actions could result in the gradual collapse of key sectors, creating power vacuums that Chaos and other opportunistic forces could exploit. Another long-term consequence is the potential evolution of the Death Guard under the leadership of its champions. As they continue to adapt their strategies and refine their use of Nurgle's plagues, they may develop new forms of biological and psychological warfare. This evolution could make them even more dangerous, as their ability to exploit weaknesses in both the Imperium's defenses and its morale grows. The champion's understanding of Nurgle's gifts ensures that the Death Guard remains at the forefront of chaos innovation, constantly finding new ways to spread decay and corruption. The leadership of Chaos Champions also has implications for the internal dynamics of the Death Guard. While their authority is currently solidified through their connection to Nurgle, the long-term sustainability of this system is uncertain. The reliance on divine favor as a basis for leadership creates a volatile hierarchy where power can shift unpredictably. This instability could lead to internal power struggles, particularly if Nurgle's blessings begin to favor new figures within the Legion. Such conflicts could weaken the Death Guard in the short term, but also provide opportunities for new leaders to emerge and redefine the Legion's approach to war. On a broader cosmic scale, the Champion's actions contribute to the ongoing entropy that threatens to consume the galaxy. Their campaigns are a microcosm of the greater struggle between order and chaos, highlighting the fragility of the Imperium's efforts to maintain stability. The Champion's ability to turn entire worlds into festering husks serves as a reminder that no system, no matter how fortified, is immune to the forces of decay. Over millennia, the cumulative effect of their conquests could tilt the balance of power in favor of chaos, creating a galaxy where decay and corruption become the norm. While the immediate impact of the Champion's leadership is overwhelmingly negative for their enemies, there are potential positive outcomes for those who oppose them. The relentless threat posed by the Death Guard forces the Imperium and other factions to develop countermeasures and adapt their strategies. This arms race could lead to advancements in medicine, quarantine protocols, and military tactics, potentially strengthening humanity's ability to resist not only the Death Guard, but other chaos-aligned forces as well. The Champion's actions, though devastating, could inadvertently contribute to the resilience of their enemies by forcing them to evolve. There is also the question of how the Champion's leadership might change if Nurgle's influence were to wane. While this seems unlikely given the current state of the galaxy, it is not impossible. A major shift in the balance of power within the warp could alter the dynamics of the Death Guard, potentially leading to a decline in the Champion's authority or even a complete reorganization of the Legion. Such a scenario would have profound implications for the Death Guard and Chaos as a whole, potentially reshaping their role in the galaxy's conflicts. Finally, the Champion's long-term impact on the perception of chaos cannot be overstated. Their grotesque appearances and the horrors they unleash serve as stark reminders of the dangers posed by the warp. This creates a dual effect. While their actions spread fear and despair, they also reinforce the resolve of those who stand against chaos. The Champions inadvertently become symbols of what must be resisted at all costs, galvanizing opposition and inspiring acts of heroism and sacrifice among their enemies. The legacy of Chaos Champions leading the Death Guard is one of transformation and inevitability. Their influence ensures that the Legion remains a relentless force of decay, constantly adapting and evolving to spread Nurgle's gifts. While their actions bring suffering and destruction, they also shape the galaxy's future, forcing all factions to confront the reality of entropy and the fragility of existence. The Champion's leadership is a testament to the enduring power of chaos, a force that continues to reshape the galaxy in its image with every campaign, every victory, and every plague unleashed.